He's been slid down to the 7th defense in that Schweden today.
Really?
Because Gustav Forsling was ill yesterday, but returned to practice today. Panthers defenseman for
F that guy.
Rasmus?
7th D.
Healthy?
Could be.
Really?
You'll find out tomorrow.
See, this is good tonic for Flames fans and for all of us. Don't overvalue we're just going to get this. We're all guilty of it.
It's also, don't say that, we got all the cap space in the world. Give this guy 9 sheets a year for the next 9 years. 8, whatever it is.
Trade his ass out of here, Conroy.
Damn it, Jack. Where's my soundboard?
Yeah, where's your
not
sound?
playing with Jack?
Come on, Jack.
What's happening?
9.
Come on.
How's that my fault?
He's the 7th defenseman, not the 9th.
Oh, 9 million.
You said 9 years.
No, 9 million.
Can't do 9 years.
Can't.
I mean, he's got 1 year left.
He's got 1 year
plus an
left,
8-year
so if you give him an 8, then it'll be 9. Oh, fuck.
9.
God, jeez. See, being here, I'm all kind of...
Rhett's mad. You're cursing again.
It's out of the house.
It's out of the house. Better.
Are we shocked by this? It's Gustav.
They got a good blue line.
Let's hear it.
Well, I mean,
Well,
Jack
we
could-
can't get the lineup.
We have the lineup. Settle down. Jeez.
They release them
once
an hour.
Not in the year of the snake.
One team had practiced
Can't
and
do it.
actually shown their lines, and I had the audacity to put it on the show yesterday
Yeah.
before the other 3 teams had
Yes.
practiced.
Exactly.
Snake. The blue line, like there's Ekholm, there's Forsling, there's Erik Karlsson,
But there's a hippo almost getting out of its enclosure.
Looks like he's real good.
Hedman,
Top
Brodin,
4.
Dahlin. Well, and that's until today's skate.
What?
So Rasmus was skating with Dahlin. Forsling has come into that spot. Ekholm and Karlsson are 5'6", and they have the other Karlsson skating with Rasmus as a 4th pair.
What's happening?
I would go home to
Mexico.
Turkey.
I thought John Carlson was American.
Yeah, different one there, yeah. Eric Karlsson didn't make the American team. Johnny.
So now it is kind of we're having fun with it.
No, that's a really good group.
But to be like, if he is, it's a very good D group.
Yes.
But if he is truly 7th in the eyes of the coaching staff, do we overvalue what he is?
No, I think they're
because if you took any of those guys, I don't want Erik Karlsson, but the rest of them, I'd take.
Yeah, Karlsson's going to suit a role there that Rasmus doesn't play. He's
Put that back up,
PP1,
Jeff.
just like Jonas Brodin is going to be your shutdown, stay-at-home defender, which Rasmus is not. I'd have Rasmus over him as well. It's just that you're building different pieces of the puzzle here. Like Dahlin, great player. Ekholm, maybe the best trade Ken Holland made in 5 years. Hedman, superstar. Brodin, great defender. Karlsson, great power play defenseman. Forsling's been excellent in Florida. I don't see it as some huge indictment.
Okay. I'm just asking.
If he can't make Team Finland, now we're fucked.
I'm just asking.
Was that your question?
No, that was not the question, but just
Spontaneous question. We're getting over questioned here.
with all of the
Feel like
trades that have happened with involving the Flames,
Mhm.
we've been over our skis on pretty much all of them.
Not true. The Lindholm deal, they got way more than we ever.
I'm talking about what we were expecting or thought was
Correct.
going to happen.
They got more than I thought.
Only you fight that battle about the Lindholm.
You really do.
Well, because they did really well in that. I didn't like the Tanev deal at all. The Hannafin one, we'll see where the pick ends up. I thought they did well in the Toffoli deal when we look back at it.
But you're forgetting what you were going to. You said we were going to get in return for these guys.
We thought it was going to be a first for Toffoli.
We thought it was going to be
It'd be a first for 10.
King's ransom.
Right, but when you take
That's
Igor
all I'm
Sharon
saying.
Govich, that doesn't mean it's not a first.
No, listen, that's all I'm
Like,
saying.
it was-
is what we thought going in, and then when the trade happened, we
Right.
were like, "Oh, that's not."
And so what I thought they would get for Lindholm was a first, a prospect, and a
You
player.
don't need to be just. I'm not saying we were right or wrong. I'm just saying that we have done that in doing this show. We've kind of, geez, it's kind of, it's maybe a little underwhelming.
Zadorov was late, Tanev was late, Hannafin we'll see. I think they did well on Toffoli and Lindholm. That's my opinion on them.
Yeah. So one out
It's a
of
mixed bag.
Again, you didn't think they did well with the Foley deal till Sharon Govich came in.
No, I remember being on a rooftop in Nashville and saying, like, until we know what Igor Sharon Govich is, it's going to be really hard to
Wow.
measure this thing.
he knew. is what he's telling
I
me.
did not know. That's exactly what I said. Is like how are we going to grade this
So
thing? We don't know what the
So
player
your
is.
approach was, I'm not going to give an opinion.
No, we'd weigh it in, but it's like it really, if Igor Sharangovich is not in the league, that's a disastrous loss. If he's a top
I
six
still
forward,
think
that's a huge win, and he might or might not be that.
But you know what I'm saying?
I think
I know
you're
what you're
bullshitting
saying.
yourself as to what you thought you were getting in return.
I understand what you're
Sharangovich or
saying.
not. I still think you thought, as good as Sharangovich has been for them, you still thought going into those trades you were going to get buttloads more.
I thought they were going to get a first. Now I don't know that.
That's all, and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I don't know that that a late first is any better or worse than Sharangovich
Right.
at this point.
No,
So,
you said-
Because keep in mind, that's not what I did. The trade work out is not the point I'm making. I'm just saying when we are getting ready for trades, well, here's what we think. Well, what's it going to be? It's going to be a first, and this. Ooh. To the point being,
Okay, so-
are we overvaluing
so then
Rasmus Anderson's value?
here's the counterpoint.
There's no counterpoint. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Okay. So
Let him know.
context. What did you think the Penguins would get for Marcus Pettersson? Because I think that matters.
I didn't even know he was on like a
Right.
zero.
And so if you see him, with
Because the point is, again, Ryan, the point is we're in Calgary talking about Flames players. It would be like asking Pittsburgh reporters what they thought they were going to get for Pettersson in Pittsburgh.
yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that the each year the market's a little different. There's not a lot of sellers this year. I think it's a good time to sell.
The cap number is a big part of the Rasmus thing too.
Cap helps, and the cap going up also helps because it allows teams to say, "Geez, we can extend this guy, no sweat." But yeah, like every year's a little different. We see firsts flying around some years, other years nobody gets rid of them. Draft classes are stronger and weaker. Some years there's more sellers, more buyers. Like it's just, yeah, it's a market that changes.
If you had to guess today, what is the outcome with Anderson?
Mhm.
Traded, re-signed, walk as a UFA.
I think that the Flames are going to get shit pumped over the next 2 weeks when they come back, and I think they're going to start to look at moving guys.
My fear is that they do extend him, and not because he's not a good player, but because I don't think he lines up really well for when I think this team will be competitive.
Still don't buy
But
it.
what do you think
I
they
still
will
don't
do?
That's
understand.
that's my fear is that they'll do that. I think they will. I hope that a losing skid like the one Rhett's talking about happens because you might start to look out, pull the zoom out a bit more, and say, do we really want years 30 to 37 of a guy,
I still
or a
think-
nice pile of young assets? Now, again, we don't know what the deals are,
Yeah.
but we can only speculate that if Pettersson was worth what he was worth, Anderson would be worth a lot more given the lower salary, the extra year of term, the fact that he's a better player.
What'd they get for him?
Well, they got a first.
A first rounder and some stuff.
First is
And then I don't know how you view Benny Desharnais. They took him off. Is that a salary dump?
Yeah,
Is
I
that a
know.
plugger? Like
You
it's
can-
kind of like the Kuzmenko part of the Lindholm deal. Like is who's benefiting who here by taking it? And when he scores 40, you're like, oh, it's a huge win for the Flames. Then when he's benched, you're like, oh yeah, that was a cash dump for the Canucks. Like he's a fringy guy.
Yeah.
What number do you want him at? If you okay, I don't want to trade you, or I don't want to overpay you. So if I have to overpay you, I'm going to trade you.
So the cap will be $105 million that year, first year of his new deal.
That's not okay.
And so that just matters for context because if you're talking in today's
All right,
salaries,
context.
it's going to be like you almost have to
Percentage
add
of cap.
20%,
Sure.
15%.
I know, but what's he keepable at?
Well, yeah, if he was a free agent this summer and teams were lining up, or like last summer, because that's the pricing.
What is he keepable if you're Craig Conroy?
I think if you can get him under 9, that's probably something that Craig would be happy with.
Okay, so 8.5.
Yeah, I think you take that. If you're trying to sign him, that's a number that you can live with.
Because the other part of it is too, even if you're still on the fence, can you try and sign him? It doesn't mean he's probably gonna have a no
Always try.
trade clause, but
They
doesn't
get the
mean-
full no
What the-
moves, and then
Listen,
the term scares
so
people.
which no trade clauses?
Well, it's not as though, well, we've signed him now. We've got him for the
a
full
no
duration
trade
of this.
clause affects going to Calgary, not leaving Calgary. And I think that's even changed.
Here's the thing: the player's going to have all the leverage here. They got tons of cap space. They publicly talked about wanting to resign him and not trade him. He likes it here, and they've been much more competitive.
Why is it that important, though?
All that's important.
But you're ready to cut bait.
No, I think
Yes, you just.
It's
said-
age.
it's age.
You're. And that's
Yeah.
fine. That's the
And
question I'm
so-
asking. I don't actually agree with you because it's.
It doesn't mean he won't be really good for the next 3-4 years, but I'm worried about
What's a fourth or what's a sixth defenseman? I know I'm interrupting you, but what's a sixth defenseman right now worth? Like, and don't say the Flames
$1.5
sixth
million. I don't
defenseman
know. Like sixes don't get paid really.
Yeah, I would like
on a
to be.
good core.
2.
So that'll go up.
Yeah, but if it's
Not
up
that
15%, it's like it's 2.5, 2.25. Like it's still cheap as cheap. What you don't want is Rasmus Andersson being your 4th or 5th best defenseman and getting and then these guys come up for contracts like Perrick or let's say a Muse.
That's
or
the
a
problem I
Bristevich.
have with your. Not a problem, but I hope you're right. I hope those guys are so good they're pushing everyone out. I don't think re-signing Rasmus Andersson has any effect on Perek making the team or not.
Not making the team. It's more the fact that you're like, shoot,
That you're in a bind.
we have to pay some guys coming out
Yeah,
of
but
entry
who
level.
are your defensemen that you're paying? You have like
Perrick could theoretically be on a second contract in 4 years.
okay.
And so
And?
that's right when Rasmus, it's going to be like, okay, you're 33 now. We're starting to see this a little bit less every year it's not necessarily perfect straight line, but you don't expect the 34-year-old to look as good as he did at 27. Is that fair?
Mhm.
It's very rare. Like, we saw with Gio. It'd be hard to come up with more examples than
Gio never played a
on one
playoff
hand.
game, so he wasn't really.
And
It's
I'll
a
say
shot,
this:
but-
we talk a bit about guys. How many kilometers are on the chassis? He's going. Rasmus doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to age particularly well.
I agree.
Jay Bowmeister,
yeah,
guy could skate.
effortless skaters
He's
will
going to-
age better.
right?
Yeah, I agree. I just think if this team was a little further along in their competitiveness, and not where they are in the standings, but just in terms of where the core is, I think it makes a lot of sense. But I'm expecting Backlund to be a little bit less effective next year. Coleman a little bit less effective. Uyghur a little bit less effective.
Worse.
Anderson a little bit less. Like, just when guys get past 30, I'm not saying they're going to fall off a cliff and be unhelpful, but like, I don't think Blake Coleman's going to score 30 in this league.
JT
again.
Miller doing?
JT Miller's 32, and they couldn't get a lot for him because of the contract. That was the fear.
Why did they have to? No.
That was why they didn't get a lot. I mean, he controlled it with the no move, but the fear was
So they
there's
wouldn't have
5 years
traded
left.
him.
on
There
him.
wasn't. They wouldn't move off him because he was a star at 32 in Vancouver. The reason they traded him was because of the shitstorm that was going on in the room. And the
No.
value of
You
the
misinterpreted what I'm saying. I'm saying the reason they didn't get a haul for him was the contract he had left.
But
for
they
him.
would not have.
No
They wouldn't have been
way.
looking to trade him.
They wouldn't have looked to trade.
otherwise.
No. They had to trade him. We get that. My point is, if you looked at how good he was last year, you would have thought you got a king's ransom for him.
No,
They didn't.
Rhett's point is that he's 32, and based on just
He's
the
playing
player,
great.
you wouldn't have been looking to trade him because you're very
Right.
happy
No,
with
I
what
agree
you
with
have,
that. I
even though
agree.
he's 30.
I know
I
what
agree,
you're
but
saying.
when they were forced to trade him and there's 5 years left, that gets scary for GMs.
I don't think you can look at that deal
You told me
as
they
being
can't trade.
here's what you get for a 32-year-old player.
I'm not saying
There was
that.
unrest in the room and a no trade
Yeah,
clause.
it was a
and-
distressed asset to a degree. But what I'm saying is that a big part of the lack of the return, like you expected more, was that there's 5 years left. What's JT Miller, a power forward, going to look like at 36 and 37?
I
That's
think
what
you're
scares teams.
running your mouth right now. You
No,
said it about.
I do think it's part of it.
well,
it's
it's,
a huge
part of
piece
it,
of
but
it.
again,
You disagree, but again, think of guys that you played with. You say, look, guys don't train
the
like
guy,
me,
yeah, it's a
and my
different
body
world.
broke down. But how many guys that you played with were effective at 36?
Lots. When
Lots?
I
I bet you less than half. So, like, what was Reggie at 36? And I don't know. I'm literally asking. He might have been fine. He might have been retired, but then I have no idea.
don't even know if he was playing.
Well, so this is kind of my point, is that even guys that are great when they're 32, at some point, it's not like some guy just played till he was 60. They all get beaten by father time, and most of it happens in your mid-30s for most of these guys. The average player will become ineffective in their mid-30s. That's what you will want to avoid, is paying that player huge money. And I'm not saying it is going to happen to JT Miller, or it is going to happen to Rasmus Andersson. What I'm saying is that risk is part of why these
So
contract
Chris
signings are
Tanev's
difficult.
contract is horseshit.
Chris Tanev is a one-off because they're going to put him on Robidas Island.
So why can't you put Rasmus Anderson on Robert?
I don't think your owner has the appetite to go over the cap when it's 110 million, 14 million. I mean, look, you could. It's just that's the time in this team's life cycle where they're going to want to go shopping in
You
free
don't
agency.
know nothing about that. 5 years. You telling me you know what the team's going to be in 5 years?
No, but you're hoping that this is the time when a lot of these prospects are arriving, and they're not all going to. I get it. St. Perrick may or may not be a superstar. He may be an average player. He may not play in the league. He might be a Norris winner. We don't know. I get it. But there's a pile of players that are of the same age group, and many of them will be NHLers.
This is the worst.
We can't ignore agent curves, and front offices don't anymore. You used to, and that's why when free agency was 31, the Leafs and Rangers were never good despite outspending everyone. Because what did they get? They got guys in their 30s.
And you would like to think that, hey, the cap's going up. So is the spending.
Yeah.
Teams are still going to find themselves just spending more and bumping up against and be like, geez, we should not have
It's
that.
not
on
like the
books.
cap goes up and the salaries don't. The salaries go right with it.
And it might take some time to get there, but
you're
it will.
also you're so good, and you are quite good at it.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Everyone has shitty contracts on their books, so
yeah,
they somehow survive. And
well, I mean, it's not a let's collect them all, but the teams that have fewer of them have better chances at winning cups. Like I'd argue that if the Oilers didn't have as much bad money on their books as they had over the last 5 years, they'd have a Stanley Cup.
but it
hurt them.
easy to say that, but
like what's Colorado's bad money?
Yeah.
You know, like what's Carolina's bad
Colorado's
money?
got no bad money.
What's Florida's bad money? Like there's actually a lot of smart teams that don't have a huge.
But you
boat anchor.
were the one that brought it up to me that Huberdeau's contract's not the end of the
Most
world because
teams
most
have a
teams
bad
have
one,
to deal with.
But again, do you want to be in the middle of the pack of this league, or is the end goal for the franchise to win a Stanley
tell you right
Cup?
now, they're going to be middle of the pack.
Well, for the next little bit, yeah. No, I think it's a very full circle chat to the one we had like 2 weeks ago, where it's like,
because it's
what is your goal? Is it to go win a cup at all costs? Or is it, you know what, let's just be competitive and everyone that gets to the dance has a chance? Because there is that. It is true. It's a wild tournament. Seattle beat Colorado 2 years ago.
I continue to say that you make it sound too simplistic. That if you just get bad, pick high, stars, cups. It's just
no, the cups aren't a guarantee at all. I continue to say that.
Jesse Puljujarvi was top 5 pick.
Yeah, and if they took Matthew Tkachuk there, they probably would have a couple cups.
Yeah, but they didn't.
But so they didn't.
So Puljujarvi is still a player in the
Ryan,
top 5.
No, and so my point is that.
But it's what I'm saying is it's easy to pick Tkachuk. You also could take Puljujarvi.
Yeah, I know.
So if the Flames are bad, here you go. You got a top 5 pick. Better hit on it. Puljujarvi, stud. Nope.
Or
shit.
And so Puljujarvi has not derailed the Oilers. Why? I mean, it hurts for sure.
Because they have
right. And so my point is,
fucking world.
And where did they draft him? Number 1. And where did they draft the other guy? Number 3.
Not the point.
So no,
it's not about the Oilers. It's about
point.
the player. I get your point.
What's my point?
Is it you need? I get lottery tickets. You made it.
You need more than.
I get it.
Absolutely.
But
so it's like, do you? The question really is for this organization: do you have the stomach to have 2 to 4 really rough years?
No, it's not the question. The question is, are you bad enough to have those years?
For sure. I mean, you can make yourself bad enough, yes.
Well,
I think
then your goaltender is going to say, get me the out of here.
Maybe. I mean, it's certainly possible. It's
and okay, and here's the other scenario. Do you remember who Dominik Hasek is?
Yeah, very familiar.
Right?
Yeah.
What did they do in Buffalo with his career?
Well, he held that team up to a really high standard, and they weren't really spending that much, and they got close and didn't win.
And didn't pick high.
Didn't pick high.
Yeah, no,
and had to,
yeah.
There is a scenario where it's like, oh, we're gonna like they were cheap as bastards in Buffalo as well.
Yes,
they wasted the best player in the NHL.
Agreed.
For half a decade,
the best goalie in the history of the league, I'd argue. Yeah,
and
so I don't see this group like the Sabres because. If you don't want to be the Buffalo Sabres, it's really easy. You trade Rasmus Andersson and you aren't the Sabres. If you roll out a blue line with Mackenzie Weegar, Kevin Ball,
where are we on Wolf?
The best years of Wolf.
I think Wolf has a very good chance of being one of those elite top 10 guys in the league. I really believe
that. But that's the point.
So what does that do to your team then?
Well, I mean, it means you're getting more saves than you're going to get from a regular goalie for sure. But it doesn't mean that if you delete Rasmus Andersson, they still can't be a bottom 5 team. Sure, they can.
But they,
and then you're taking calls on Kadri if you've gone that far down the road.
But
someone's going to want
trade him.
Didn't say that, but
yes, you did. You have said that numerous times to me. Kadri is untradeable.
At times he was. I think at this point, with the term left, and the way he's played. It's you could probably get rid of him. I don't know. You're getting the haul back.
I'm with you, but I also see we've been having these conversations for a long time.
To say he was tradable, like,
but
he had 7 years left on the deal when it started. Now it's
a couple
3
years
after this. Like, okay, well,
It's the same time frame. He had a contract from now till now.
I know.
So you're saying, look, I think at this point you could trade him. I don't know that you're going to, who's doing who the favor to the chat we had earlier this year with Vancouver. But again, if you keep the group around Wolf that's here, I agree they won't bottom out. But you've got a really big decision on that group that starts with Rasmus Anderson this summer.
Do you think that, Rasmus Anderson signs an 8-year deal. Pinder doesn't like it. It's too much money.
I'm not going to say I don't like it. It's just, there's risk that comes with it, right?
What I'm getting at is, will there not be a team in 6 years if everything else goes as planned and Rasmus does crash and burn a little bit? Is there no way of dumping him?
If he's making $9 a year and you don't want him, why does someone else want that contract?
Because that's what teams do. They take on shitty contracts for return.
Not very often, and you kind of have to bribe him to do it. But yeah, it happens.
Well, Chicago ate a whole bunch of money and gave up a player for a third.
I'm not saying you can't go pay someone to eat bad money. Of course you can. What I'm saying is that's probably not an efficient way to do business. You can get out of the problem. It's not like well, since they signed him, everything's ruined, move the franchise. But it's going to make life harder if he doesn't age well, for sure.
I still think we're screwed because we're stuck somewhere that we don't want to be.
Yeah.
I'm serious. You seem to, again, you have this plan and you think it's going, I don't think it's as cut and dry as you make it out to be. And I think there's a lot of mucky middle still lurking because of the setup you have with this squad.
What I see is really clear is that the pieces to win a Stanley Cup aren't here. That's what's clear to me.
That's clear. They're not beating anyone.
And so I'm not, as someone saying I want to pick a route to success, I'm not terribly concerned about them, being so good they're going to be a cup contender anytime soon. And I would start trying to build that core of people that can help you be that.
Huska.
Why am I getting hit?
Huska.
Look at a team like
fault. Get these guys playing worse so we can.
I mean, it was
look
funny.
at a team like Detroit. Yeah. They've been bad for a long time now. They finished dead last, didn't win the lottery. There's been that, and they're kind of a playoff team now. That
great under McClellan. They were a win away from getting in last year. It's kind of turned the corner.
But you would maybe
Ottawa has.
But who's their star?
Mo Sada.
Probably Mo.
Lucas Raymond is a very good player. Mo Sider's a very good player.
They don't have anyone that allows them to beat the best teams either.
I agree. And that was sort of some bad lottery luck there.
But you'd have been, and we'd have been happy with that pursuit. Trade guys, they did sign some fucking old guys. I don't know why.
They made some bad decisions at the
but it hasn't been
like
a cap thing that's
and
kept
Edmondson's
them,
and
right?
Petrie.
They've been bad, have picked high,
but
I don't see them as a wait for them. They've got Bedard or
I agree.
I think they're going to be in trouble because they don't have the superstar.
You've looked at the situation that was the worst luck because they dropped 2 or 3 spots in the lottery multiple years, like bad luck.
But there's other teams that have finished bottom 3 for a long time.
I don't know. They have a top 3 pick for a team.
And why isn't bad luck?
But anyway, throw Buffalo in there. Throw Ottawa, who's just now
Well,
Columbus
is Brady Tkachuk a generational?
I love him as a centerpiece. I think he could captain a winning team. Yeah.
Is Rasmus Dahlin?
I don't know enough about Rasmus. No, of course, no one can do it by themselves. Connor doesn't have a ring, but I don't have a problem with, if anyone's listening and saying Pinder thinks they could just win a cup if they just tear it down, that's absolutely not true. It's very, very hard. But if you just want to make high percentage bets, it's very, very, very low probability you'll ever have a real contender if you don't go find a mega stud, and it's hard, almost impossible to get him if you're not picking in the top 5 to 10.
And you can't, there's very little debate there.
Right. And so the question is, okay, does Wolf take them out of drafting that guy range? No, but it certainly makes it a little harder. You now are going to have to hit at a Rantanen level rather than the McKinnon, McDavid first overalls. Right. And this year, the pressing issue that I see that I don't think there's enough urgency on at this point, but hopefully there is some before the deadline, is you're looking at a top 10 pick. And if you have it, you get to use it. And if you don't,
In a
that pick
shitty
goes to
draft.
Montreal. Top 10's okay. After that, it gets really mad. Like you might get a right shot centerman who's 6'5" at 7 to 10 in this year's draft.
But again, that could or
Go
Puljujarvi
the other way.
No,
or
of course. So if I have to pick between,
I know I want that. I want
but
that option. I do.
and this is the choice that they're making right now. You're either chasing a playoff spot, and you're now 3 back of a team I'd argue that has a better roster, and you've got a tougher schedule.
You'll have plenty of clarity before the deadline.
I agree.
I hope so. God,
I
damn it.
agree. I don't
This road trip.
honestly, and maybe it's just the taste that's left in our mouth from that game the other night.
It's
or what's we've
it's
seen
actually
here.
a great.
If they went on a skid, it would be very helpful long
Well,
term, as much as they would hate it.
Either way, it's great because you're playing the best, and these are the teams you're going to have to beat if you do make the playoffs. Prove whether you can or not, because there's no sense getting in and, like Daryl said,
Look what our boy
wasting
did.
2 weeks of your life.
Look what our boy did.
Huska's nightmare.
Huska.
Maybe
It's a touch dramatic.
it's a
I
little
love it.
dramatic, but hey.
The mini gauntlet run. Huska's nightmare.
So there's the Sharks prior to.
Yep.
And you've already seen how you fared against Washington,
Loss.
Toronto,
Loss.
and Colorado.
Loss.
That's
Yeah.
just it. You're
You don't
playing
need to
against some of the
squint.
stars.
Yeah, but man, we could elevate, and how would we be? You had your chance.
You did, but it doesn't mean Dustin Wolf can't steal a game here or there. Like,
This is gonna be so
I
great.
get it.
How
They're
How many
gonna-
games are there? They're gonna
There's 6 games. There's 12 available
win
points.
go 4-1-1.
We're right
there, boys.
100%.
No, but you,
Be
what are
great
you
if they-
supposed to do if they
I
do
know.
that? You have to support what they show you.
Yeah, and again, what they do there is one half of the formula. The other half is what's happened to Vancouver. Are they on a 6-game heater? If they drop 5 in a row, the standings will tell Connie what to do on the 7th. If they're in by 3 points, they'll probably go out at defenseman.
You need to draft a star later. Is what you need to do.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
never count on that. What do we talk about? Top 10. We gotta have a top 10.
Yeah.
You never know the top 10. Blah, blah, blah.
And you know what?
Hit a home run again in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round.
Like you look what they did
you
there,
did it
right?
first, yeah.
You nailed Gaudreau.
Yeah, late
You
pick.
didn't have a top 3. You got Kachuk. You had, to a lesser extent, I mean, you had Mangiapane. You had some value
Sixth
that you
round.
got later in the draft.
Yep.
Develop the shit out of the guys you draft.
Yeah, and this is the biggest formula over anything else. It's not high picks load you up with talent. It's great draft and develop. Look at the Washington Capitals and what they've been able to do, not
Well,
picking high. It's incredible.
Go and, because I'm a lovely defenseman, go draft 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, some quality defensemen, and get overloaded with too many guys that can play and make some trades for pieces. Like,
We've had a lot of D to the system in the
develop
last year.
these players.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.